Hi, it's DS Yaxlimer, and this is another edition of The Spectre, and I've been meaning to do this. I wanted to make a video about the Halloween trailer. I've watched some other reaction videos about it. I don't know what I can say about it. Other people haven't really said about Halloween. I will say a few things about the trilogy. This movie, of course, as many people know, picks up right after the very first film. So it's right after Loomis shoots Michael Myers. He goes out the balcony, dead, presumably, and then he kind of vanishes. He turns around. He's not laying on the front lawn. And then you'll see the trailer, and we'll talk about like what would have happened after that moment at the end of that movie. So Halloween 2, even though it's a continuation of that original movie, they threw that out. Which I don't know. There's so many Halloween movies. There's probably about almost 10. There's Halloween 1, 2, 3. 3 was the witching hour? I think it was the witching hour. Anyway, that had nothing to do with Michael Myers. Wasn't in it. Did not exist in that universe. Then part 4, part 5, part 6. It's like the return, the revenge, the curse of Michael Myers. All of them. So. And then to repudiate all those movies, I think that was when H2O, like, basically, there's so much goofy shit. There's like, Laurie's daughter, Michael Myers' niece that he went after. Those was in those movies, and Donald Pleasance was in those films. Who was in the original movie, who played Dr. Loomis. So this movie takes place, though, in that world that happened, everything that happened from Halloween 1. This movie is picking up where that took off, and it's, I guess, more or less trying to honor that movie and somehow make up for all of that horrible shit they did for so many years with those horror movies. And it was probably a movie that they should have never made a sequel to it at all. They could, if they left that movie the way it was, it would, and it still is a classic, but I think it would be a less tarnished classic. And maybe they could have just done something like this years later and brought the character back, and brought like it's truly a classic, and you've waited like a long time for it. But anyway, that didn't happen. I grew up in the '80s, so I grew up with the Friday the 13th trilogy and Nightmare on Elm Street. So this was kind of no different. The Michael Myers is kind of he's my favorite because he's just a simple man with a kitchen knife and a song in his heart. I don't know what the fuck, how to describe him. But anyway, let's look at this trailer and see what the fuss is, or about this movie. See if it's worthwhile based on this. Probably the best parts of the movie are usually in the trailer. So here we go.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Where is it?
We're here to investigate a patient that killed 3 innocent teenagers on Halloween in 1978. He was shot by his own psychiatrist and taken into custody that night.
That all happened in the first movie.
Years in captivity. Hello, Michael. I have something you might like to see.
I kind of like this scene, I do.
Everyone in my family turns into a nutcase this time of year. Yeah, I mean, your grandmother is Laurie Strode.
Yeah, your grandmother's Laurie
She was almost
Strode.
murdered.
Wasn't it her brother who murdered all those babysitters?
No, it was not her brother. That's something that people made up.
Do you know that I pray every night that he would escape?
What the hell did you do that for?
So I could kill him.
Dad, look out!
The bus crashed.
Mom, what bus crash?
Michael escaped.
Excuse me, somebody's in here.
Hello?
Oh.
He's waiting for this night. He's
Just a
waiting.
quick side note from that scene. You wonder, like, does Michael Myers have to go to how many different garages until he finds the right color of coveralls? You know, because he can't just, you know, what if it's like checkered or gray? And it's like he shows up and like Laurie Strode's like, what? You got some new cover? Like, holy shit, this is a good look for you. It's a good color. I don't like the killing, but that was stupid. But yeah, he has to. Somebody's always wearing those coveralls that have no logo of the garage or wherever the mechanic might be working. So here
For
we
me.
go.
I've waited for him.
Get inside!
Okay, there he is.
You don't believe in what you meant.
He's here!
You should.
Can you close the closet door?
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I don't know. How the... Oh, God. How the fuck does he wear that killing people all night? It's like, I'm getting really hot in this thing. When are you teenagers gonna die? How many teenagers gotta stand? I think that's why he can only kill once a year, is because he can only stand wearing this thing. Like, this is like one of the... This would probably be like one of the worst masks. This is from like Halloween 4 or something. This is what you get at the Halloween store. Anyway, yeah. Always scary. That white mask thing always scared me about Halloween, and he's a mute, he doesn't talk. Of course, neither does Jason Voorhees, but he's more of a big, crazy monster, zombie, whatever he is. And Toxic Avenger looking thing, and Michael Myers is just some crazy dude with a mask who doesn't die very easy. He's always like one step ahead or two steps ahead of the people he's trying to kill usually. So is it based on that? Is that no, I can't tell anything from that movie, because it's like you can orchestrate some nice clips and put them together and make it, wow, this is pretty, because it's kind of like the Star Wars trailers, the early ones for the new movies. They just, all the cool stuff, the Millennium Falcon, they showed the X-Wing fighters and Han and Chewie getting on the Falcon. Like, it was that kind of stuff. They just showed, you got Jamie Lee Curtis, cool, she's a badass, and she's got a secret, like weapons cache panic room in her house. She ain't fucking around. She hasn't seen him for 40 years, but he knows he was locked up and chained up in a yard. And some English psychiatrist decided to show up and hey, I'm going to taunt you. Hey, here you go, Michael. And he flips out because of a 40-year-old William Shatner mask. That's what the mask was modeled. It was actually originally a William Shatner Captain Kirk mask that they altered. So, trivia. Most people know that. And quite inconsequential. So I can't tell. Like the first time I saw it, I was a little high. Like I saw it a week ago, and I was just like really blown away because that's in that state I was in. I was I was very open, and I was a little scared because it did have some terrifying elements to it, but it also had some cheesy elements to it. I don't know. It's Jamie Lee Curtis. It's like, to me, this is just like, I think she likes reprising the role. It's fun. It's probably a pretty decent payday for her. And I think that's really what it is. Large part what it is. I think Nick Castle, who played the Shape, Michael Myers in the original movie, is in this. He's playing Michael Myers. He just has to put the mask on and not say anything. So it's like, okay, like, because so I mean, I guess there's some acting involved, but there's very subtleties to it. It's almost like mime, really. But after like maybe 2 official canons from the original run, if I call that original run of movies, up until Resurrection, which followed H2O, where Laurie Strode's character was killed by Michael Myers at some asylum. I don't even want to go into H2O and the stupid twist ending that made that horrible piece of shit steaming pile Halloween Resurrection possible, but that's what happened. So they just rewrite it because it's just, there's a buck to be made. There's no, I mean, as far as like even Friday the 13th, I mean, tried, I think, to cling to some continuity to some extent. Well, I mean, there's Jason X, but whatever. Friday the 13th will just unabashedly, no, this is my vision. We're not, part 4 through 6 didn't happen. So, because H2O picked up after part 2, which seemed like, yeah, it makes sense because they're really just one long movie. This one sort of takes half the movie and gets rid of it. Even though it's just a continuation of that same night. That's kind of, and I don't mind. I mean, I would have personally left the second movie in and let whatever, and whatever come of it. I mean, I just think it's part of the first movie. It's not as good as the first movie, but I don't see what the point is of throwing it out. Why couldn't you work from there in some way, shape, or form? But I think him getting burned and blown up with Dr. Loomis was, it's just something they didn't want to work with, because there's a lot of flaws with Halloween 2, and I'm not really going to go too much into Halloween 2, but it's kind of, it's not as suspenseful because Michael Myers is walking around a hospital. That's probably where it loses some of its suspense. You're already aware that he's there, and then he's at large, and that he'll kill people and everybody. So it's, and that people are just too stupid to realize when he's down on the ground, don't go fucking near him because he'll get up and stab you. So they keep doing that. And what's in this new trilogy, I mean, from what I can tell, it looks like it could kind of surprise fans of these movies. I'm a fan of the first film. A couple other ones I guess I like. It's hard to even tell. I really don't. I mean, I've seen all of them at one point or another. Some of them in the theaters, and I mean, it was always like, what the fuck was that? It was kind of one of those movies you would go to, and you'd walk out kind of like, I can't fucking believe they did that. What a bunch of shit that was. Because you would go see a movie, but you didn't have the internet to complain about it later or talk about it. So, people would forget about shitty movies, for years until the internet came around and people started blogging and making videos about it because they have nothing else better to do with their empty fucking lives. Anyway, but but this flick, it looks like it's like cool. I mean, I think it'll be better than any of the sequels. Honestly, I thought the only like the H2O sequel, which is one of the better ones, which isn't saying much, was like watered down sort of Scream movie. It just was not. It was just pretty. I don't know. The setting just wasn't right. It was that private school that she became a headmistress of, Laurie Strode, when she faked her own death years ago to hide from her sociopathic brother. So that's why she wound up there somehow. I mean, you get a new how hard. It's not that easy to get a new identity. You have to really know some people. You have to be like some survivalist Sarah Connor from Terminator. You know, you have to know people that you have to go through people, like several people to get to do that. So, anyway, she basically faking her own death is a fucking crime too. I mean, she didn't go through like the witness relocation or the proper channels. She just faked her own death. So right there, she's in trouble. Even for the rationale that she thought that this guy, her brother, was going to come back, who had been missing for 20 years, was going to come kill her. Still. So anyway, it's kind of irrelevant, but that's one of the points of that. But this film looks cool. I mean, I like the prison yard thing where he's chained up. He's just a hugely dangerous person that can only be left with the most dangerous people in that Arkham Asylum opening, which is what it looked like. And I don't know what else you can do. I mean, the movie is going to be, it's going to start out with him in a crazy place like an asylum or a prison, and he's super dangerous, and all he needs is just a little opening. And that's what the bus crash that's depicted in the trailer is about. It's okay, he gets bus crashed, and Laurie wanted him to break out so she could finally kill him to get revenge for what he did to her friends and everybody. So she's been preparing. She knew he was alive. So he was eventually going to get out, or she just wanted him to, so she could finish it off, because she just was not, it's just, it wouldn't rest for her. So it looks like it'd be like an entertaining movie. It looks like it could be as far as the Halloween movies go overall, it'll probably be one of the better ones, aesthetically anyway. I mean, it looks like they at least put some time in the characters, and they, the setting and the aesthetics are a lot different, because a lot of the other Halloween movies, they look like shit. The characters are terrible, like any other horror movie. So they're trying to take something from 1978 and sort of teleport it here. I don't know, like bring it from. It is almost like they're in part trying to bring something from the late 70s and bring it to 2018 and do it. And it is a very commercial movie. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, everybody, man, fucking sell out, man. It's like the first Halloween. There was like 2 fucking reels. They floated around the country. It took you months to see it. Of course it did. Back then, it's not the same time. It's the same thing I get with people who are really critical of the new Star Wars movies. And it's like, they are marketed towards kids. And you know what? The first ones were marketed towards kids when you were a kid. And some of the shit in those movies doesn't make any fucking sense. And, there's some sloppiness there, but we forgive it because we love Star Wars. So anyway, so I mean, I forgave a lot of bad Halloween movies because I expected them to be bad. I kind of like the first Rob Zombie movie because anything was better after Resurrection, which was early 2000. I would actually recommend watching it just so you have a good. Resurrection is where it like went to great lengths to be bad. It just, if you want to look at a really bad Halloween movie, I would go to Resurrection. Even the shittiest of like 4 through 6, nothing. Just Coolio is in it. That's all I have to tell you. Fucking Coolio is in it, and Coolio was to this movie, was to Halloween, and the thing is, the movie would have been bad anyway. I don't know. I think it would have. It was almost like they needed more of a Chris Hardwick role, and I guess he couldn't get that job now because he's up on sexual assault rumors. He's the latest victim in the hashtag Me Too movement, bitches. So anyway, that happened. It was just recently, like the other last night. His ex-girlfriend came, but again, tangent. So yeah, but this movie is going to be a popcorn horror movie. I don't expect it to be particularly good, but it's one of those movies that could really surprise me and exceed my expectations, but I doubt it. I think it's going to sort of it's going to try to play homage. It looks like it's going to try to really play homage to the first film. And I don't know. It's hard to see how those characters are going to coalesce on screen just from the little brief interactions and snippets that you see and who, you know what I mean, or who's important in this movie. I mean, it's just really hard to tell from a fucking trailer. So I mean, I'll find out October 18th, like everybody else, if it's a good flick. For me, anyway. So anyway, that's my take on it. If you are a fan of Halloween, what are your take on the trilogy or this latest trailer? Leave your comments below. My name is DS Yoxheimer. This is the Spectre, and happy early Halloween. That was fucking lame. Oh, good lord. Anyway, yes. Yes, does this make you want to kill? Huh? Does it make you want to kill?